Welcome to Breakthrough Conversations with Coach Pete, and I'm Gloria Lybecker. And we were just starting to have a conversation, and I said, wait a minute, that sounds like a great conversation to have here. So, about all the different ways that we can be, all the different ways that we could show up. There's just endless possibilities that are available to us in our lifetime. And what's your take on that, Coach Pete? Why don't you
Well,
start?
it's interesting. Like a lot of things, Gloria. First of all, good morning or hello. Um, there's a couple different ways to take that idea of there are many ways to be, many
Mhm.
ways for an individual to be. I think that's what you were driving at just now. Like, how do I show up? How do I choose to be in any given moment? And also, it could mean there are many types of people. There are many ways of being a human being in this world. And so you multiply those two things, and there's like almost infinite ways of being.
There are
You know
infinite
what I'm
ways.
saying?
Yeah, I
But
believe
I
there
like
are.
I like where you were going is how many ways I can be.
Well, and how do we determine which direction we're going to go? I like to say, what is that path of least resistance? Then that's going to be really tuning into your truth of what really is the most important to you. What do you want to focus on and spend your time with while you're here? Because we're not here forever, right here, right now, and perhaps there's this evolution where depends on person's beliefs on what it's going to look like, this life experience. And yet, when you're here right now, what are you choosing to focus on? And what are you choosing to take actions on? What are you creating with your life?
Yes, important question.
Well, and I remember when my children were younger and they were going through school and they were going to like, who am I going to be? What do I want to do? And then they're like, well, I don't know. What are the choices? It's like when we're young, we're innocent. And part of it is we may not realize the different options that are available, or we may be conditioned into believing, well, my dad was a doctor and his dad was a doctor and your great grandpa was a doctor. So I guess I'm going to be a doctor. But really, being in choice, how do you actually be in choice? How do you find your own passion and purpose in life?
Key question. Key question in life in general. Definitely a key question in coaching with people. Absolutely. And so, how does one discover what they might want to be or how they want to be in any given situation or any stage of life? What's that process to you?
Well,
I know.
it varies from individual to individual, but one of my favorite ways to begin that exploration is just to do a little time travel back to when they were little. What did they love? What did they dream about? What did they get excited about? What were their wishes? Just really what lit them up. Because for most of us, I've found those are the keys. But somewhere along the path, as they got older, they started to settle or they started to say, well, maybe I'll go for a little less than that. That was kind of grandiose of me. And they don't believe in themselves. So if they can come back to the place where what did they dream of? That can really help them to really rediscover their heart.
I agree. I do a lot of that with my clients too, if they're willing to do that. Sometimes I start with today, a couple of exercises about who you are, what what skills, capabilities, talents you have, what passions you have. I also love. I think we've talked about this one. What is your lovable list? What makes you lovable? What makes people want to be with you, be in your sphere? And then once we kind of look at that, and that presents a challenge to some people to really look at themselves,
Mhm.
and because sometimes people feel like we're taught too often not to be boastful, not to brag, So it's hard for some people to say, well, I'm a great listener and I'm very creative, whatever their verries are, whatever their capabilities are. So we go through that. And then I often do what you're talking about, which is, okay, let's go back. What was little Gloria like? What was in her heart? What did she, and I love, what did she want to be? I mean, for me, I wanted to be center fielder for the New York Yankees. I dreamed about that for years.
Yeah. Yeah, the dreams, they're pretty big. I just wanted to be a mommy and I wanted to be really good with music. And of course I loved kittens and horses. And I still do. And I've done all of those things. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah, and I still love children. So I love working with children. And and I recognize there's a child in all of us. So I just love working with people. And yeah, it's a fun exploration, and it's important also to, as you were saying, to meet the people where they are on their journey with what they're looking for, and they'll stretch and grow when they're ready. There's no need to force anything.
So I love the question we started with about, there's so many ways to be. And I like it on both levels. There's so many different ways of being a human, different types of people. And I believe, should open up to the different ways people are, maybe learn something. They have a different perspective. I know I learn a lot from you, from our conversations, our deep conversations, our breakthrough conversations each week. I learn more and more about you and about life by listening to you. And hopefully you do the same with my thoughts. And if we could just be open to that with the different ways people could be, I think that would help us a great deal. And then within that, let's look at the different ways I can be. And some of that is looking back and capturing something, maybe a dream you had about yourself that, oh, why did I give up on that? Maybe I could revisit that. I'm not saying I could be a center fielder for the New York Yankees, but I could coach kids in my neighborhood. If, if baseball's still important to me or sports are still important to me, I can find a way of doing that.
Mm.
Uh, so both, I think, are really important ways of looking at the world and changing and being open to change.
Yeah, that gives me an idea for another conversation. And that might be just a little teaser here for folks that are listening. But where are the places that we're making assumptions about the way life is, or about the way we are? You know, about ourselves, about others, and about the world, because those assumptions that we make actually create our perceptions or create a reality. But when we can begin to recognize them, we can dismantle them, which is kind of what you're talking about there.
I love it. To be continued.
Let's do it.